So today I'm going to give you 5 tips in order for you to improve your hip rotation at impact. But first of all, I'm Mr. D, but you, my friend, you can call me Thomas. I make videos about my journey trying to master the game of golf, and as I go, I share my thoughts, my experience, so you can improve as well. And this is exactly what I'm going to do today. Well, this topic actually comes from one of my viewers that actually told me that he's struggling with hip rotation, and this is something I struggle too, and I think there is a different aspect to it. I'm going to go in order. You need to make sure everyone is checked, and if you still struggle, keep on going in the video, and you will have all that you need, I think, in order to rotate your hips as much as you want. But first of all, I think this is important to say that this is not a requirement. You don't have to rotate your hips as much as Rory McIlroy, Dustin Johnson, or anyway, in order to play a good golf. There is a lot of different ways to being able to actually hit the golf ball. And the main reason, before I'm going to the tip, I want to explain why those guys are hitting or rotating their hips that much, and why it may be important, but that's not as important. It's in golf, the main thing that is going to improve the consistency of your impact is going to be your ability to pull the club progressively all the way until impact, and not actually making a pushing motion, not trying to push the golf club, the club head. And rotating the hip a lot help with that, absolutely. But there is also other way to do it. I mean, you can rotate your hip a little bit, but pulling your arm down all the way until impact, and you can, by pulling your left arm and actually learning to pull the club with the right arm the right way, you can actually learn to pull the club all the way almost until impact and have a very decent consistency. And I would even argue that if you're struggling with distance and you don't want necessarily to play like the best player in the world, that you don't have to rotate your hips that much, because also it's going to be easier to generate power, because by pulling and then releasing, really letting go of the club at impact, so you're pulling with your arm and then you're letting go, this generates power much more easily without much effort. And so, but when you're rotating, you need to find power in the rotation motion, and this put more strain on the body. This is more difficult to do, and you need to be more in shape. The golf club is still going to be thrown. It's going to be thrown through the rotation motion and not through the throwing motion. Anyway, so let's move on now to the 5 tips. First, of course, that's the beginning. Mobility. You have to check if you are able to, if you have some restriction in your mobility. And this is primarily, you can try, stay still up, put your feet one in front of the other in parallel. And what you can do is try without moving this leg, trying to move your feet that way without turning your feet, just using your hips, trying to move your feet that way, and then the other one that way. And you will see, if you struggle with that, that's very difficult just using your hip, and you feel that you are using your knee or your ankle in order to get there. Maybe you have some restriction in terms of mobility, and so. But that's honestly, that's the easiest things to fix if that's the case, because you just have at the setup, instead of having just your 2 feet like this at the setup, just move your left foot like this. just slightly open. For you, anyway, your left feet for a right-handed player, just open it a little bit. And you can go as far as 45 degrees if you need to. Because once you do that, you will have all the mobility in the world in order for you to rotate the hips as much as you want. So that first issue, we are done. If you have a mobility issue, just open your feet, your forward feet. Next, this one is a bit more tricky, because what can cause you to actually prevent to not rotate your hips might be some subconscious locking that is happening. What I mean by that is, if you're not used to open your hip, what is going to happen is if you rotate your hips, the club face is going to open. That's just that. And so if you're not making adjustment for that, you're going to miss right a lot, slice the ball enormously. And so your subconscious knows that. And it's, even if you try to rotate as much as you can, your subconscious, and if you want to hit the ball where you want, your subconscious is going to prevent you from moving your hips. That's just the way it is. And so you need to find solution to that, because if you don't find solution, you won't be able to move your hips. And I've tried a lot to do that. And I realized now I want to hit the ball straight, but my mind, if I try to rotate my hips, I'm not going to be able to. So my subconscious is throwing the club. It's preventing me from opening my hips as much as it can in order for me to hit where I want. So there is the easy fix and there is more complex fix. The first, this is about your grip. If you already have a strong grip, if you have a neutral grip and you don't care about going for a stronger grip, I would recommend you just do that. If you are used to have a very neutral grip, just move toward a stronger grip, and then the club face will shut a lot stronger at impact, and so your body will naturally open up a lot more. And as you do that, you will be able to open your hips as much as you want. So a stronger grip is going to be the easy fix, let's say. If you start from a neutral grip, but just if you go for that, you need to understand also that the trajectory that is the best when you are using strong grip, it's generally fade. Balls that start a little bit left and curve and come back to the center, or even go a little bit to the right, like Dustin Johnson is doing. This is one of the things you need to also to accept is in terms of trajectory, depending on what kind of fix you're going to use, you may want to work on one or different trajectory. This is going to help you a lot with consistency. Then there is the other fix, which if you already have a strong grip, or you like your neutral grip and you don't want to change for a stronger grip, well, you need to learn to, as you are doing your downswing, to close the club face. For you, the sensation is going to be hooking the ball as much as you possibly can. You need to learn to really do some 100 and 200 balls, just rotating the club face with your wrist like this, as you're doing your downswing, and try to hit hooks as much as you possibly can. Hooks. And then once you are getting comfortable with this motion of closing the club face and really arriving at impact with a very strong club face, then you can start trying to rotate so you need to do the exact same motion that you are doing down for hitting hooks. You do the exact motion, except at impact, you are trying to open, until the club face is square. But you should, all the way until impact, you should absolutely do the same motion as when you are hitting hooks. But at impact, you are going to have to open your body as much as you possibly can in order for you to square the club face, get your hand a lot forward. This is the key, because for you to hit hooks, your hand, if you're struggling with hip rotation, basically, most likely your hand are almost at your shaft is vertical at impact, where you need to have a forward shaftling. And what is going to happen when you hit hooks? Your shaft is going to be vertical, but as you open, you are going to create forward shaftling that you want and compress the ball. So you hit hooks, you close the club face as much as you possibly can, and then you rotate to square the club face, but all the motion is the same as you hitting hooks. So this is that. Just think about hooks, practice hooks, and then just try to open. And primarily this is going to make you hit draws. You're going to be, by doing that, much more comfortable with a draw play, like Rory McIlroy is doing. He's doing that. He's rotating, closing the club face enormously, and he's rotating enormously at impact in order to have the club face that is square. But by doing so, you have a club face that is close compared to the club path, which actually lead to draws. Then we move on to the third issues that can cause you to not rotate your hips enough. If you have done that and still struggle to rotate your hips and you are doing hooks, but actually you are doing hooks, what I mean by that is you are not able to rotate enough. So you have tried hooks, you are actually rotating your hips enough, your club face enough, or you have changed your grip, but the issue is now you start missing left. You start missing left a lot, and you're not understanding why. So here comes the next piece, which is shoulder rotation. This is probably the most overlooked, I think, thing. But if your shoulder doesn't rotate through impact, your hips cannot rotate as much. If you just try to, I need to get my shoulder square at impact and open my hips, you are restricting your hips rotation. That's it. So, and there is a lot of examples for that. You can see the most extreme example would be Henrik Stenson, where at impact he is even almost looking at the target. He's not even looking at impact. Why? Because you want to open the chest. Because something that you need to understand is at impact, the differential between the hips and the shoulder is almost gone. The greatest differential is it's at the beginning of the downswing. At the beginning of the downswing, the differential is the greatest between the hips and the shoulder. But when you reach impact, actually the differential has almost catch up entirely. And why you want to do that is because it generates more power. The hips are rotating and the upper body is catching up, and as you're doing so, you are transferring more and more energy towards the club, and boom! And then after impact, everything let go. And I'm not moving my hips, but my shoulder keep moving. And so at impact, your shoulder have already starting to rotate to catch up to the hips. And the more you're going to do that, the more you're going to be able to open your hips more. Because the more you're going to be able to activate the shoulder rotation, the more you're going to miss right. And so the more you're going to want to rotate and close the club face even more. So that's the second aspect, really. And you will start feeling, this is something I understand quite recently, where I tried to actually feel my right shoulder moving a lot more forward, and I realized that actually to do that properly, you need actually to push into the ground with the left leg, which is actually the fourth tips for better hips rotation. Because if you are just, okay, I'm rotating my head, I'm just rotating my shoulder, then your lower body is not doing anything anymore. So you really have to there is the two aspects at impact that are very important for you to rotate your hips, which is first, the left leg has to push into the ground. And you see with every good player, when they are arriving at impact, they have pushed so much into the ground with their left leg that actually the feet is coming off the ground. And that's because by doing that, there is a motion when you push with your left leg, actually help you rotate like this. This is in diagonal. You have your feet, your left leg, but everything is in cross in the body. When you are pushing with your left on the lower body, it's create a reaction with your right, and on the opposite side that way. And so if you want to rotate your shoulder, your right shoulder especially, you push with the right leg. But then we move on to the last and final piece. Well, here, if you are able to go that far, I mean, you will rotate your hips as much as the best player in the world. Because if you have done everything right until now, this last piece is going to rotate even more. This is actually the one piece we haven't talked about yet, which is the right leg, the right side. And actually more specifically the right hip, driving the right hip through impact. And so as I said just in previous, in the body this is going across the body, so left leg, right arm, right upper body side, and right leg, left upper body side. And so so we come back to the shoulder rotation. What do you want your shoulder to do? You want them going back and around. And so to do that, as I said, for the right shoulder, you push, and this helps you rotate for the right shoulder forward and down. At the same, by pushing and driving your hips really forward and towards the ball and towards the target, then what you create is a motion, a reaction motion where actually the left shoulder is going back and around, and this creates a lot of power. And so you see how actually the rotation of the hips is just at impact is just a way to help the shoulder rotate more. And the more the shoulder rotates, the more the hips are able to turn, and the more you're able to pull the club to actually release through and have a very consistent ball flight. So I hope it helped. It's a lot. I know. I'm sorry if it's a little bit confusing. If you want to have more detail on any specific points, or that I make maybe a more tutorial video where actually I show you in front of the camera what it looks. Don't hesitate to put it in the comment section. I will gladly do it. And yeah, I think that's it for today. So thanks you for watching, and I'll see you next time.